It's great. I don't want to go to this thing enough to spend money to get there. The longer I'm without it, the more I'm like, there is no way I'm going back to it, which is a horrible statement because of how it's being used today. I'm gonna retract that one second and find another one, right? I was like, holy crap. I can say crap, right?
Why don't you have a car?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've never liked driving. And, I did it for, I don't know, 20 plus years. Okay, not 20 plus, but let's say, thinking that I'll get used to it. And I kind of did. But then a few years ago, I realized that no, I really don't like driving. I don't enjoy the stress of it. I don't enjoy any aspect of it. Stress of it, I don't like being behind a wheel. I don't like dealing with traffic. I don't like parking. I mean, there's nothing about it I like. And then I realized a few years ago that I don't need it. I mean, I live in Amwaj, so I get to walk everywhere I need to walk. And one of the things I love about Amwaj is the fact that I have a pedestrian lifestyle, which means walking to the supermarket, to the pharmacy. So I can walk to all my basics. So that covers what I need in life. And then if I need to go out of the island, then we live in a time where between Uber and Kareem and cabs, a ride is always available.
Okay, but is it expensive to get around like that? Is it cheaper if you had a car? I'm
Well,
just wondering.
I calculated, now I'm not good at math, right? But I calculated what would be the price of a car, how long it will last me, plus gas, plus cleaning it, plus all the other expenses that come in. And I figured in the span of, let's say I keep a car for 10 years, I'm really spending about the same amount of money. Not less, for sure.
Okay.
And yes, it can be expensive, but it's also a really good excuse to not go places sometimes. It's great. And okay, let me explain this to you. The number of times when I used to drive where I'd get in my car to go somewhere, and then the minute I get in the car or I'm about to, I think, oh my God, I have to drive there. And I will shut the door, go back home, and say, sorry, not making it. So it's actually made me a lot more mobile, but then also it's a good excuse not to go somewhere if I don't want to, right? Because then I have to think, do I want to spend that money to get there? And if I do, then I'll spend the money. And if I don't, then I know how I'm really feeling, as opposed to, well, I'm gonna go because I can, regardless of how I'm feeling about it, because we sometimes feel obliged or pressured to be somewhere that we don't really want to.
It makes you think twice.
Yeah, exactly. It makes me think twice if that 5 or 10 or 6 dinars is worth it, And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to this thing enough to spend money to get there. And honestly, it saves me a lot of mental time because I use the car space to answer my messages. I'm not aware of the traffic around me, so I'm not stressed about it. Yeah, and I thought when I stopped driving, I thought, okay, I'm going to try it for a year. And then if I don't like it and I really need that, what people presume is the freedom of moving around, then I can go back and grab a car. And now it's been definitely over 2 years. And I always get asked, don't you miss driving or don't you want to get a car? I'm like, the longer I'm without it, the more I'm like, there is no way I'm going back to it. It's just a type of stress and anxiety that I'm now learned to enjoy living without.
Nice.
Do you think by living alone, you're somehow setting a bad example to other women in the Middle East, as you could be influencing other women to do the same?
I hope I'm setting a good example. Okay, so here's what I think. There's a problem that exists in our society, in all societies, that says in order to be happy or successful or accepted, then you need to be ABC. Okay? And my idea is that there's no way I need to be so much. What I need as a person is to see and explore and experiment what works for me and go after that. So I don't think necessarily living alone is the best thing to do, but it's the best thing to do for me, right? I don't think that not driving is the best thing to do, but it's the best thing to do for me. So I hope that's the example I can be setting, which is finding one's truth, which is a horrible statement because of how it's being used today. I'm going to retract that one second and find another one, right? But finding what works for me in order for me to feel and be happy, to be stable. And I mean happy in myself, happy with my choices. Granted that I am not disrespecting other people or being, hurtful or what have you. So no, I'd like to think I'm not setting a bad example. I'd like to imagine that I am, because what I'm going for is being honestly and authentically myself, which doesn't mean I'm going to be happy every day, but overall, I'm very content and I am happy. Even on the days I'm sad and it's a bad day and I don't know, my back hurts and my mom pissed me off, I'm happy because I'm authentic in how I express myself. So I hope that that's the message I can provide, as opposed to it's not what I'm doing, it's the context of doing it for myself in a positive way.
Do you think you could be hurting people in the process while being, as you put it, your true self? Is that something you think about?
Yeah, of course, I think about it a lot. Okay, so there's a larger philosophy here, right? And this is something I realized a long time ago. We cannot avoid being hurt, and we cannot avoid hurting people. It is unavoidable. There's nothing I can do, no matter how good and kind and considerate I am going to hurt someone in the process. Like you say, moving out of my mother's house in the very beginning was a painful process for her because her daughter is moving away and not in the socially accepted context of getting married or living abroad and so forth, right? I've had an experience before in my life where I gave somebody what to me was a compliment, and yet they received it as an insult. They were very taken aback and quite hurt by me saying, "Oh, I think this is very interesting what you did." And they took the word interesting as some kind of attack, but I meant it well, right? We, in the process of experiencing love and fear, we will hurt the people we love because we also have fear of losing them. We have fear of them hurting themselves. So, for example, in the simple context of parent and child, the parent is trying to protect the child by some kind of act. That very act can be hurtful to the child because they feel denied or what have you. So in the context of life, I cannot avoid hurting people. In the same way, I cannot avoid being hurt. So the first step is to accept this. And then for me, the second step is to be aware of where my intentions are. So are my intentions to hurt you? No, my intentions were possibly good for both of us, but they were translated as pain to you or as something positive. There's only so much control I can have over the vibrations or the domino effect of my actions. But what I can control to some extent is my intention behind something. And I hope that for the most part, my intention is good. And then I can go back every night at the end of my day and look back at my actions and wonder, did this intention come from love or fear or jealousy or insecurity? And it can, because I'm a human being and I cannot avoid any of those. But I go back and I review, and if there's a place where I recognize I acted out of fear or control, then I can review that within myself and try to grow and mature so that I don't act this way again. And I've done it. I'll tell you a story, a really quick one. A friend of mine, and this was a manipulative thing that I did. I didn't realize it while I was doing it. But I had this friend who could only be moved through guilt. Okay, like if you ask her to come over because you want to have a good time, she's going to make up excuses and she's going to be lazy. But if I guilt her into it, then she's going to show up. So I recognized that I did that a couple of times, and I recognized it. And I was like, holy crap. I can say crap, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Same.
Okay, great. And I realized that that's what I'd done, that I'd manipulated her into doing what I wanted. Now, my initial intention was, I love you and I want to spend time with you. And the only way I could get that was dragging her in through guilt. So I realized that. I actually told her, I said, I'm sorry, I did this and I didn't mean to. And I realized that I manipulated the situation. I apologized and I tried not to do it again. So yeah, I can hurt people and people are going to hurt me, but the idea is, long story short, is what is my intention? And can I continue growing and maturing when it comes to my intentions? And then how much I allow certain emotions to dictate how I'm going to treat others. Because I'm sure everybody's taken out their bad mood on somebody. And usually you take it out on the person that you know will take it from you. I've done it, right? I've taken out my bad mood on my mother, and she gets the worst of me until I realize, I'm like, oh my God, I do it to my mother because I know she will take it. It doesn't make me evil, it makes me human. So I just retract, and then in the moment where I feel like I'm going to take it out on her now, I say, Ari, can you take a breath and hold back and be nice? So I do that now, and hopefully I continue growing. Hopefully.
How do you view money? Tell me a little about it.
Touchy subject. Oh my God.
How much you got? I'm not saying.
I know. No, it has nothing to do with how much I've got. I still have a very unraveling relationship with money, to be
Like
honest.
we all do.
Yeah, and it's not about the amount of wealth. Like, that's a whole other story, right? But at one point, or a couple of points when I was younger, I recognized that there were people in my life who, when they came into money, the worst side of them came out. They became a lot more judgmental, or, up their own asses, or more callous. I witnessed it, right? Or at least that's what I witnessed. And I thought at one point for the longest time in my life, like, money is evil. Like, it's going to bring out the worst in you. So I almost had a kind of a resistance to it. I had a resistance to anything that would showcase money, like brands, even though I lived in a society and community where this is the norm and the popular thing too. So anything that was ostentatious and money related, I would mentally and emotionally reject. I'm like, no, this is evil, this is bad. I prefer to be simple. Now, luxury is a whole other thing, right? And I recognize that, but I also lived a lifestyle where I had luxury and we traveled. And, at one point in time, I used to make a lot of money in my old job. So I would travel business class and, all of that. But I'm getting to a point where I'm trying to learn the enjoyment and the belief in wealth, and not as a catalyst for the worst of what I am, because it's also understanding that money doesn't do anything to us that isn't already within us, right? So unless I have the capacity to be an asshole, money is not going to create that in me. So that was also a big lesson eventually when I got to it. I'm like, okay, these people didn't become bad because of money. They became bad in quotation marks, because they already had some kind of underlying insecurity and fear. And when money came in, it kind of fueled that in a particular way that made that part of them stand out. So again, it's kind of learning sensations, right? Or learning points across a journey of understanding money and wealth. So for me, I rejected it for a long time. I am now, actually, this is why it was a funny question, kind of in a process of rewiring that relationship and becoming more open to wealth and money, because, I want to travel. I want to see the world. I want to buy pretty things. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's not the things that are going to make me happy, because I am happy. But if the world has gems to offer, then I don't mind exploring these gems.
Accepting them.
Yeah, and accepting them. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm reworking it. Find me in a few years, ask me again, let's see where I'm at.
Tell us what you do.
I do so many things.
So tell us how you make your money so we can come and
Yeah.
give you some.
Yeah, please do. I do many things. And
How do you make money?
Okay, I make
That's
money.
another question.
Sure, I make money through a variety of freelance jobs. So one of them is energy healing, which I love doing. I love energy healing, and I do one-on-one client work. But hopefully, I want to set myself up so I have larger audiences one day when it comes to that. I also teach I teach everything, but mainly writing and English, but I've taught every subject. I prefer to hold to subjects I enjoy because then it's more fun for me. But I do also one-on-one tutorships. I also am now launching roughly monthly my own creative, not creative therapy or journaling, writing workshops. So this is one of the ways I'm trying to gather like a larger audience in delivering what I want. What I love about the workshops I do, as opposed to the one-on-one teaching, is that I get to create my material. And for me, that's the biggest joy. I create and choose what it is that I want to teach. So I said energy healing, I said teaching. I'm also a writer, currently working on my first book of poetry and hoping to publish and sell that. So you can, once my book is out, you can buy that and buy it for other people because it's a lovely book of poetry. And I collaborated with this fantastic, amazing illustrator called Hannah Column. She's brilliant. And I also do writing. I take commissioned writing jobs with companies. However, I've been trying to reduce that source of income, even though it was my cash cow for the longest time, only because I want to focus more on doing my own writing and being able to make money from that as opposed to writing for companies and third parties. It felt like I'd been renting out my voice to others for years, which was a great journey. But I'm hoping that it's coming to its end, and that when I do take projects with third parties, they are projects that I'm interested in, where the topics I actually enjoy and love, something that is not renting out my voice, but so much as collaborating my voice with somebody else. It's a nuance, but it makes a difference to me because of the challenge, the enjoyment, the purpose of what I'm doing. If I'm just writing a website for a company, I've lost the sense of, oh, I just enjoy writing. I need it to be purposeful now, right? So this is where I'm at.
What do we get from joining one of your workshops?
I have this magical capacity to make you love yourself, okay? And really enjoy your own process of discovering who you are. As a teacher, what I love doing is not giving the students the subject matter they need to learn, but so much as guiding them on how to learn it themselves. And that moment of empowerment is so profound and so beautiful for every human being. I've worked with every age, so many nationalities, and the moment of finding your voice, accessing your own knowledge, that empowerment of the self is what I'm really good at. I mean, I can make you feel great about yourself, not because of what I'm giving you, but so much as what I'm teaching you to give yourself. And that experience is self-replicating, right? One of the things I love is when my students don't need me anymore. And I've experienced that a lot. It's sad, but it's also beautiful because you give them tools to access themselves, access how to learn, how to analyze, how to rethink what they know. And once you know how to do that, you can always do it everywhere, at any point in life. And I'm so lucky that I have students that tell me, I still hear your voice when I'm doing this or that, right? And it's just that guiding thing of ask yourself, as simple as ask yourself why. So they just learn to ask themselves why, for example. And then that tool again is it's a gift that keeps giving, So yeah, I think I'm just really good at making you love yourself.
That's a good
Fantastic.
way to start.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. That was great. How did you find it?
Fantastic. Easy.